Hi everyone, I just want to do a quick verb review for tenses and understanding really all of the structures that we've gone through up through chapter 8.2. So I'll be talking about the present tense, the futur proche, the passé récent, and the passé composé using avoir. Starting with the present tense, we have just one verb. We have subject and one verb. We have our regular forms of verbs such as er, ir, and re. What we do to conjugate our verb with our subject is we take off the ending. We take off er, and for je, I add e. For tu, es. For il, e. For nous, ons. For vous, ez. And for il plural, ent. For irs, I'll change color so we can see it more clearly. I'm going to take off ir and I'm going to add is, it, issons, issez, issent. For re verbs, let me change color again. I'm going to take off my re and I'm going to add s, nothing, ons, easy, ent. We, of course, have a number of irregular verbs, so we're going to make sure that you know them, you take the time to study them, but those at least get you through the regular verbs. Remember, present tense has just one verb per subject. All three of our other tenses, futur proche, passé récent, and passé composé, follow a similar structure in that they have subject and two verbs. Our first one, futur proche, uses a form of aller as the first verb. We conjugate it, so je vais, tu vas, let's try that again. Je vais, tu vas, il va, nous allons, vous allez, ils vont. The second verb is the infinitive, okay, which means that it is not conjugated. Infinitive, okay? So it would look like something like manger with an er, or finir with an ir, or attendre with an re, or any one of our irregulars, of course. So if I were going to conjugate the verb manger in futur proche with je, I would start with je vais manger. If I were going to do it with tu, it would be tu vas manger, but the manger stays the same. Il va manger. Nous allons manger. Vous allez manger. Ils vont manger. So your second verb, your infinitive, never changes. The futur proche, because aller means to go, can best be described as is going to blank. Okay, so I am going to eat. You are going to eat. He is going to eat. The passé récent is also similar. We have subject and two verbs. The first verb, though, is venir, to come. We conjugate this as je viens, tu viens, il vient. Nous venons, vous venez, ils viennent. Watch the double N here before the ENT. After venir, very, very important is we get the word de, the preposition de, which could also be d apostrophe. Okay? We don't want to forget that. Then our second verb is, again, the infinitive, which is to say I'm not going to change it, I'm not going to conjugate it. So once again, I could use manger, finir, or attendre. Those are three good regular verbs here. If I was going to conjugate this, I would say, for je, and I'm conjugating manger for the passé récent, I would say, je viens manger, tu viens manger, il vient manger, nous venons manger, vous venez manger, ils viennent manger. The passé récent is best described as saying something like, just came from blanking. Example, I just came from eating. I just came from studying. The passé composé also has a subject and two verbs. However, it's quite different. The futur proche and the passé récent both used an infinitive, whereas the passé composé is not going to use that. We have learned so far that your first verb for the passé composé is avoir, conjugated as j'ai, tu as, il a, nous avons, vous avez, ils ont. The second verb is not the infinitive, but what we call the past participle. Okay? Instead of having it be manger with an ER, finir with an IR, and attendre with an RE, we take off the ER or the IR or the RE when you add a special ending. In the case of an ER verb, it's an E accent aigu. In the case of an IR verb, it's an I. In the case of an RE verb, it's a U. So, when I do this here, I would have my past participle be manger, fini, attendu. So instead of using these guys, I'm using these past participles for my second verb. So example, if I wanted to conjugate manger for je, I would say, j'ai mangé. Tu as mangé. Il a mangé. Nous avons mangé. Vous avez mangé. Ils ont mangé. Don't want to delete my accent there. Okay? The negation is important to know how to do in all of these, and what's really nice is that the negation is the same in every single one of my tenses. My ne pas is always going to go around my first verb. If I only have one verb, well, then it obviously goes around that one. Another way to remember this, so I can say always around your first verb. That's one way to remember it. Or I can remember it as the ne is always directly after the subject, and pas is always directly after the first verb. If I go up here, for present tense, my ne goes after my subject, my pas goes after my verb. My futur proche, my ne goes after my subject, my pas goes after my first verb. Passé récent, my ne goes after my subject, and my pas goes directly after my first verb. Notice that it's before the de. Passé composé, my ne goes right after the subject and right after my first verb. Of course, in any of these cases, your ne can become an apostrophe when you have a vowel. That is it. I hope that was really helpful to you guys, and I'll see you next time.